First of all, good morning, folks. All right, look. First of all, we're human beings, right? And we're flawed people, which means none of us is perfect. We all set standards and guidelines that we break, possibly on a daily basis. So you can't really be too hard on folks. So with that being said, to us who are adults in this world, you don't necessarily have to have kids, but if you're a parent, this applies double to you. But it actually applies double to you who are an adult, period. We have to be more mindful of the way we teach the youth. We have to be more mindful of the way we teach the youth. We have to be more mindful of how we damage our witnesses that grow up beneath us. The reality of it is, we learned as people a lot of dysfunctional things. We learned a lot of great things from our elders. We did. But we learned a lot of messed up things from them too. Whether it was directly or indirectly, we learned some things probably a little bit too early that we probably shouldn't have learned. We came across some incidents that we probably shouldn't have came across. We saw some imageries of life that we probably should have never seen. Whether it was directly or indirectly, we've seen it, we learned it, and we were taught. Just because you don't apply something to your life doesn't mean you didn't learn it. Just because you see an action that you may have directly or indirectly learned from somebody else and you don't apply it to your life doesn't mean it's not already learned up here. It's in here. You saw it. You visualized it. You experienced it from afar. It's in there. Now it's waiting on you to see if you're going to apply that concept to your life. That's how life works. You see what I'm saying? That's how life works. And us as adults, especially as parents, I had a long, good talk with my children, right? And especially my son, my oldest son. And he made me realize a lot of things. You know, he made me realize how much as a parent that I was governing his life as my child with the concept of do as I say, not as I do. You know, I'm telling you something. I'm telling you what you need to be doing as my child. But since I'm an adult and I feel like I have a better mindset for this life, that I can still be around images, be around imagery, be around situations, be around movements in life that I tell you not to be involved in, and to honestly think that you're going to leave my house, you're going to leave outside of me and your mother's vision and not get involved with the same stuff that I told you not to get involved with. When you see me doing it as a parent. And parents teach people. We have that method in our life, whether we're parents to children, or we're aunts and uncles or grandmothers and grandfathers or whatever to these kids. And we tell them, do as I say, not as I do. And what we tell them to do is way opposite and way different than what we actually doing ourselves. So we confusing these kids. These kids are witnessing us. These kids are trying to learn from us how to grow up into this world and become productive citizens and things of that nature. But we showing them we live in double standard. We live in two different lives in front of them. We telling them one way, you know what I mean? But we live in a whole different way. Now, I'm not telling people you got to change your life. That's not what I'm here for. I'm not trying to govern nobody's lifestyle. That's not what I'm here for. I'm not trying to govern how anyone lives. I am not the enforcer of judgments. That's not what I'm here for. That's not what nobody's here for. Even though a lot of people always got to be judgmental on a lot of things. Everybody have opinions on something, and opinions are some form of judgment. I don't care how much you want to wash it or dilute it and say it's just an opinion, not a judgment. Opinion is a judgment. Simple as that. But when we teach these youth, y'all have to look at it like this. Everything we introduce to these people, every conversation we have that they're around to hear, whether they right in your face, in your mouth, whether you're talking directly to them, or whether they looking from afar, somebody's always watching. Somebody's always watching, always watching. Whether you, and I get it, people throw it on the parents. All parents need to be better role models to their kids. Yes, I get it. When it comes to the things that kids come home and they entertain themselves with, parents got to really be into these kids' life and stop letting these kids really govern the entertainment that they involved in, govern the things that they watch, and govern the people that they hang around with. You have to. But as a parent, the biggest thing about being a parent, or the biggest thing about being an adult, period, is that you have to make an ultimate sacrifice. Because why? There's always somebody younger than you, especially if you have youth in your presence, that's watching you. When you a school teacher and you having fun with those kids, and you thinking it's just fun, but certain things, I get it. You have to understand, like, especially with this social media age, man, these kids are watching. It ain't just teachers. It's police officers. You know, it's other different government official workers. It's just people, period. You have youth watching you. You see what I'm saying? And they directly and indirectly learn from the examples we lead, from the lives we lead. They learn from that. You know, learn behaviors. You saw how your daddy talked, you start talking like that. You saw how your mama react, you start reacting like that. You see how your daddy talk, you see how your mother talk, you start talking like that. You see how your daddy react, you start reacting like that. Then you look at your older brothers, your older siblings, and you see how they react. You start reacting like that. You know, like, everything is a learned behavior. And I'm talking to my people, my black people especially, because I know there was a video out about this guy, and you know, some of this stuff be doctored up, about this guy, you know, teaching, I guess, pole dancing with some kid or whatever. And you always have two sides to everything. You know, when you look at our community, and you look at people who feel that somewhat of a homosexual lifestyle is wrong, and then you have ones who just be like, man, people just let them live, let them do what they do. Now, as a black man, at the end of the day, I'm gonna be honest. It's more to something. It's more to something than what we see. Now, I get the imagery, and I get a lot of people saying like it's an agenda. Like I said, it's people directly learn. People learn direct and indirect. You know, they learn directly or indirectly. You know, so even though you think that you're not pushing some type of lifestyle on a child, and you thinking it's just fun, remember, this is something that they doing that as adults and as a man, is somehow somewhat tied into like a sexuality thing. Same way with drug dealers. Same way with pimps. Same way with prostitutes. You know what I'm saying? Same way with just regular communication amongst your home. When you show a kid something, or when you allow kids to see certain things, they're gonna pick that stuff up. And what I do is I see a lot of hypocrisy sometimes, you know, and I gotta speak on the hypocrisy. When I looked at that video of that youngster pole dancing with that dude, initially I'm like, just like I said, I introduced my son to football, hoping that he'll love football. I introduced my son to basketball with hopes of him loving basketball. Things that I love. I introduced my son to a punching bag, hoping that he'll love the punching bag. You see what I'm saying? It's simple as that. You know? And even if I introduced my son to something, even not with hopes of him loving it, I introduced him to it. And now I may have sparked something in him that I shouldn't have sparked. You see what I'm saying? So, but the hypocrisy of this is, when it comes to that video, is that some of the same people will see young black males out here, and whoever these people controlling these accounts, allowing these young black males, 10, 11, 12 years old, curse the whole block out, call everybody bitches and hoes, cuss out any grown person around, but they really have a problem with this little kid swinging on the pole, but they don't have a problem with this little kid disrespecting any and everybody that come in their sight. And then I get on women, black women too, just like I get on black men, because black men will laugh at it, because that's how they treat women. And then I get on women too, because they'll look at that same video of these kids disrespecting everybody in sight and laugh like a proud auntie or something that raised a dysfunctional child. They'll praise the same video of this little girl acting super grown, but then they'll get mad at this youngster pole dancing with this kid. If we gonna be about the influences of our kids, we need to be about it all the way across. So I'm not necessarily upset with this youngster dancing on the pole as much as I'm upset with these kids up here who acting grown, who out here cursing like a sailor, disrespecting everybody. You see what I'm saying? We gotta understand things directly or indirectly influence our kids. You know what I'm saying? Influence the youth. So when we move, you have to understand, it's just like a movie. You got to understand, when they write movies, they write movies through reality. We've all been in the hood. We all seen kids. For some of us who grew up and possibly idolized somebody or looked up to somebody who didn't really even knew who the fuck we was. You know what I mean? They may knew our parents. They may knew like an uncle or something of ours, but they didn't know who we was. And we seen them getting it. We seen them out there getting money, doing what they do, getting a bunch of females, and we looked up to them. We never even said a word to them probably, or said something to them on a few occasions. But we looked up to who they was. We looked up to what they represent. And it wasn't like they was directly pulling us up under their wings saying, yeah, man, this is how you go through life. You move like this, you move like that. You do like this, you do like that. No. But indirectly, that's what we wanted to be. Indirectly, we was learning from what we saw from them every day. We affect our kids directly and indirectly. You watching shows thinking it's just entertainment. Oh, it's just a movie. It's just a game. It's just entertainment. And then we bag away from it to not take accountability, and we say, it's not that deep though. It's not that deep. How as people can we move on a daily basis saying it's not that deep? When kids get courage from being bullied by a video game to come mass shoot up the whole school. How can we not say it's that deep though? You understand what I'm saying? How can we not say it's that deep? It's that deep when kids get the idea to medicate their inadequacies in life through music that you introduce them to, whether it's new school, whether it's old school, whether it's rap, whether it's rhythm and blues, whether it's rock and roll, whether it's country, it doesn't matter. These people get indirect influences that we introduce them to. Don't get it wrong, they're gonna grow. They're gonna come out here and start seeing the world for themselves, and they're gonna learn a lot of things directly. They are. But with knowing they're gonna learn a lot of things directly, we as adults, when these people are under us, we have to somehow filter what we introduce them to. You know? We have to filter what we introduce them to. A lot of people learned how to be hard workers. Why? Because they saw their parents get up every day and work hard. So they in love with the ideal of hard work. And you'll ask them, man, go be an entrepreneur. You got the hard work down. You got the hustle down. Put your mind to the test and go start your business. But they are afraid to start their business because they learn fear of taking a risk. But they fell in love with the structure of just going to work and getting that check. Long as I stay within the structure, I'm good. They learned it directly. They learned the fear of not wanting to do anything more indirectly. So I just tell people, man, we have to watch our hypocrisy. If we gonna go in on one agenda that we feel like is killing our kids, if we gonna go in on one agenda that we feel like is devaluing our children, if we gonna go in on one agenda that we feel like is destroying our youth, if we gonna go in on one agenda that we feel like is exterminating our youth, we need to go in on all agendas that we feel like is doing the same thing to our youth. We can't be hypocritical and focus on one. I get it. This is social media age, and everybody want to pick their poisons and stick to it, and everybody want to be great in this little pocket. I get it. A lot of this stuff is tactical that you see on social media. So you really can't take it. You can only take it with a grain of salt. But if we really serious about our youth, folks, and we really serious about what they learn and what's influencing them, we can't just ride on one issue, pissing off one group of people. If we feel like this stuff is destroying our youth, these certain things are destroying our youth, we got to ride exactly the same across the board. Exactly the same across the board. And when it comes to males, men, first of all, just because you're a male don't mean you're going to be a man. You got to grow into a man. You got to evolve into a man. You got to learn how to be a man. And a lot of us haven't learned how to be a man, guess what? Because we was directly or indirectly taught wrong. As simple as that. And when you a man, especially when you have a family, when you a male, just because you a male and you got a family, just because you a male and you got a wife, just because you a male and you got kids, don't mean you a man yet. As a male who have a family, this front door, it's your job. It's your job to protect what comes into this door. It's your job to protect the people that come through this door. It's your job to protect the influences that go through that door. It's your job to do what? Rectify and straighten out how everybody acting behind that door to your crib. It's your job to do that. And your family may not like you for it. You and your wife may not see eye to eye a lot. You and your kids may not have the best relationship. But you got to do what you got to do as a man behind these doors of your house. You got to check everything that come in your crib. That's your job. You see what I'm saying? So guess what? Everybody can't come in your house because some people are bringing influences that you don't want in your house. Everything can't be talked about in your house because you don't want certain influences of things being talked about in your crib. You understand? That's your job. And when everybody leaves this crib, it's your job to make sure everybody is representing what this house means to the fullest when they leave here. I know you're going to have some slip-ups in the world because that's how influences work. You get around a different group of people, you get a little bit laxed. Your kids get around their friends, they get a little bit laxed. You know what I'm saying? Your wife get around her co-workers or whatever, she get a little bit lax. Hell, sometimes you as a male, you go around certain different people and you catch yourself slipping. We're humans. We're imperfect. But you better make sure you restore everything before it hit your house. Because before you know it, you'll have all kind of influences living in your house that you got no control over. And I seen influences tear families down, divide families up. And it's not because they don't even love each other. They don't even know that they battling influences. And they don't know how to stop it. As a woman, now I know they say men can't tell women how to be women. And I'm not here trying to tell a woman how to be a woman. But I'm letting a woman know this. Just because you a female don't mean you a woman yet. And if you a woman who has a husband, and if you a woman who has kids, it is your job. It is your job. It is your job that when that man leaves, you may not be able to live up to his influence 100%, but goddamn, you better have at least 80%. You better show them kids that even though daddy gone, mama ain't no joke. Mama ain't no punk. And which I give praise to a lot of you women, because a lot of you women be up there handling your business. I'm not here to knock women. You see what I'm saying? I'm not here to knock women. But if you got a strong, firm man, husband that lives in your house, when your husband is gone, your influence will be so strong and so much alike your husband that them kids gonna know you ain't no joke to deal with. It's gonna be like daddy ain't even gone nowhere. Some of you fellas gotta step up though. You know, some of you fellas are being too lackadaisical with your family. Some of you fellas are being too relaxed with your family. You can't do that. You know? You can't do that. But until then, man, you know, it's your boy Messiah Boss. And like I say, man, our youth learns directly and indirectly. You know? They learn. So us as adults, man, you gotta remember, we influence, man. We influence more people than what we think. There's more people that look up to us than what we think. And yeah, we not nobody role model. Yeah, you live life and you want to look at kids and say, well, when you do stuff and they see you do it, you want them to be like, well, it ain't my fault. You know, they parents should have did. But you got to understand, some people and some kids ain't got that connection with their parents. So they look at you from afar because they respect you to an extent. You know, I ain't saying you got to walk on eggshells with your life. I'm not saying that. But just know somebody always watching. And the least thing you can do with the youth around you, man, is lead some type of example, man, some type of good example, man. You know, put more positive out than the negative you put out. You know, be more optimistic than pessimistic. You know, because you got people watching it. It's simple as that. But until then, man, I'm out this camp.